So my main question, and this was actually requested by my mom, is being in the vortex, is that a relative feeling for everybody? So when somebody gets satisfaction or just pure joy out of, let's say, weaving a carpet or something, or doing something that may not seem, I'm not sure if morally correct might be the right word, if they get satisfaction from both of those things, is that a relative feeling?
Well, let's give a new definition to morally correct, because what most people mean when they're talking about morally correct is you doing it the way I believe you should do it.
Sure. Oh, sure.
And so anytime that you are feeling elation or joy or those emotions that you know the clarity and pureness and wonderful feeling of them, that means you're in sync with what source is thinking about same thing. And so we think that it puts a new understanding on what is morality. Societies have historically tried to guide the communities from a stance of true immorality, in the sense that they are often not advocating what is best for the individual or even what is best for the whole, but what is best for the one who is dictating the law. In other words, even parents do that. What's good is for you to please me, is what almost everyone who's seeking control of conditions is saying. And those who are seeking control of conditions are frustrated because you can't control conditions, because you can't control the vibrational stance of another. So once you get in sync with who you are, so that you are consistently lined up with that point of view and receiving inspiration and then following through with that inspiration, the satisfaction that comes from that is not describable with words.
With that said, so that feeling, if everybody feels that, because you can't describe that, that's everybody innately understands that?
Well, we think everybody innately understands what feeling good is, but feeling good really is relative. And here's why. If you've lived a contrasting life, so you've launched lots of rockets of desire, so source is answering lots of requests, so there's a strong momentum going, and you are non-resistant because you've meditated or because you just woke up or because you've been appreciating, so you are non-resistant to this fast-moving energy. Your positive emotion is going to feel really, really strong and good to you. Here's another way of saying it. If you really, really want something and you really, really don't believe it, it's going to feel really, really, really bad. If you sort of want it and you sort of don't believe it, it's going to feel sort of bad. So the faster the energy is moving, which means the more momentum your desire has, then the more it serves you, if you want to feel good, to be in alignment with your own desire. So you can't talk against who you really are. So people have different degrees of desire. There are people who have held themselves back from life so that they're not launching many rockets. So the energy isn't moving that fast, so they can be more content and complacent in non-activity. There are those who have launched rockets who must move in the direction of those rockets in order to feel good. And it doesn't have to be the young having all the enthusiasm and the old wanting to sit in the chair in front of the television. It really is about the energy that you've launched, or the rockets that you've launched, and your relationship to them.
Sure.
So there's more to your question.
There is. This might sound a little bit dark. It's just something I've always wondered. You've always said that this is a world of complete inclusion. There's literally nothing that is excluded.
Can't push anything away.
Right, yeah. So
when you say no to it, you're actually saying yes to it, because your attention to it causes you to activate a vibration that calls it.
And with that, this has kind of always tripped me up, where, let's say, our murderer, for instance, is under that realm of inclusion, technically. Well, it is under that realm. And your support technically is with everybody. So when somebody commits a murder, or again, something that we may not perceive as being right, is that support technically given with those things because it is a world of inclusion?
Yes, because of this. So we've talked about that already here today. So There is the condition, and then there is the emotion, which we are, for the sake of understanding unconditional love, we are calling the unconditioned. In other words, it's not yet a condition, it's a vibration, it's an emotion. For example, Esther can feel when she has an issue with something to do with business, with something to do with someone painting her house, something that somebody is doing that she doesn't like. So when she wants to talk to us about it, she can feel that we are aware of what she's dealing with and aware of who she's dealing with, but she can feel that we never join her in her anger against that person. She can feel that while we are interested in what she's focused upon, and we agree that those kids aren't doing a good job painting the house, and we agree that the guy that owns the company should know that they're not doing a good job painting the house, and we agree that he should not send kids that don't have experience to paint the house. In other words, we're in total agreement with all of those things, but we are not feeling negative emotion toward this person who we love, whether it's because he's doing a rotten job of painting a house or because he's murdered somebody.
Gotcha.
And that's hard for humans to hear, because you've been putting things in piles of right and wrong, and you aren't able to separate conditions from who you are. But you want to. You're not able to separate conditions from who you really are. You're not able to separate what's happening because of the vibration you're offering from the vibration of who you really are. And Source is always focused upon the vibration of who you really are. So when we say you can't get it wrong and you never get it done, we mean it. And the reason that you can't get it wrong is because you never get it done. Maybe hard to hear.
Sure. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah. And your mother doesn't want to hear that from us, because she wants to control your behavior. She wants to say there are things that you do that you just shouldn't do. And it's interesting, because religions say, if you want to be good, then come and join us and do these things and don't do these things. And you want to be seen as good, and so you join and you do the things that they say are good. And even though it's difficult, you don't do the things that they say are bad, even though a lot of them are human impulses. They're pulsing at the very core of you. Sex in the back seat. So then they say, if you do these things that are good and you don't do these things that are bad, you will be blessed. So you follow that edict and you don't do those things and you do these things, but you're not being all that blessed. Kind of worried all the time and the blessings aren't coming. And then you look at that guy over there. He's doing all the things he shouldn't do, and he looks really happy. And abundance is coming to him and all good things are happening. And so you say, hey, what's going on? I'm keeping the rules and I'm not breaking those rules. And they say, oh, we forgot to tell you, you can't judge it by this life experience. The rewards and punishment come after you die. Oh, so I ignore my own guidance and do what you say. And after I die, even though it hasn't felt right all along, it will suddenly come into alignment. And we say, you were born with guidance in order to know what the source within you knows about this situation right here, right now. And so sometimes people worry when they hear us talking, because they think that we're encouraging mass murderers. And we say, no one ever does anything like that when they're in alignment with source. So if someone is having those kinds of experiences, you've got to know they're completely out of whack. And usually the reason that they are so out of whack, if you follow the history of the serial killers or those who are doing those what you call dastardly deeds to society or to individuals, what you will find in every case is that they were someone who was being misunderstood, who was being touted, who was being controlled, who was being misunderstood, who was being punished by a society who did not understand what unconditional love is. And so it just perpetuates more and more and more. There is a war against crime, and more crime every day. There is a war against teenage pregnancy, and more teenage pregnancy every day. Everything that you push against becomes more, because the pattern of vibration holds stronger and stronger and stronger. So you just have to come to the place where you have to individually decide, I want to feel good. And if you're tending to the thoughts, then you'll never get to the action. In other words, if you're having thoughts of unworthiness and thoughts of rage and revenge, and someone is counseling you into soothing yourself, and you're finding alignment with who you are, it's not going to escalate into taking a gun and killing someone. But if you're feeling revenge and rage, and somebody says to you you're wrong in feeling that, and you need to get control of your emotions, and they're not explaining what your emotions are, law of attraction is going to help that rage get more and more and more, until the next logical step is some sort of violence, which then, as a society in a whole, you push against all the stronger and lock them up and condemn them and speak of them disrespectfully. You see, nice to know, isn't it? Nobody has to know this but you in order for you to live happily ever after. If you found someone in the street bleeding, we know you'd help them. If you find someone in the street writhing in agony and wielding a gun, you don't feel so inclined to help them out, even though they're asking in the same way that they would if they were bleeding. And if you want to know how Source feels about them, Source is adoring them, but they're so blocked off they can't hear it. And that's why they're behaving the way they do. When life causes you to ask for something in a really strong way, and you find vibrational attitudes and ways of living that keep you from hearing it or feeling it, then you want it and want it and want it, but you're blocking it, blocking it, blocking it. It's logical, isn't it? Doesn't that make perfect sense of everything that you see in the world once you understand that? It doesn't take many to stand in a place, and it's easier if you have your distance from them, where you are focusing upon them through the eyes of Source. Esther notices that as she writes with Jerry, who is non-physical, or Abraham, who is non-physical. She can feel when she asks for guidance about something that she's dealing with, she can feel an absolute awareness of where she is, and an absolute non-attachment to the negative emotion that she feels. That's what step 5 living is. It's understanding that stuff happens, but not letting it take you off of your balance as you're observing it, and not feeling guilty about being in the middle of it, because it's part of the process of expansion. You see, really good conversation. Yeah. Do you feel a need to control those that you fear would harm you or your family? It's sort of a logical thing to want to at least keep them away from you, but they won't come for you. If someone's agitated and in that place, and you're in a place of love, they're not going to come for you. Vibrationally inaccurate. They don't find you. They find those who are in the same hatred. Have you ever heard someone say the dog bites those who are afraid of it? Well, that's why, because that fear is a vibration of aggravation. It's a big conversation. Someday we'll all get together and we'll talk about this for about 2 days. Yes. Yes.